Hi, everyone. Welcome back to the Happy Healthy Workplace Summit. I'm Maya Carlson, and I'm here today I guess we're all here today to unleash a culture of wellness so that people can do great things in their workplace environments. And I'm here today with Lisa Cohn. Welcome, Lisa.
Thank you very much.
Glad to have you here. So I asked Lisa to join me today because she's a leadership consultant, an executive coach. She's an author. She's a speaker. She's done so many different things. And when we connected and talked about whether this might be a good fit for the work that Lisa has done, it just seemed like an absolute connection. So really excited to have you here today, Lisa. Welcome.
I'm really excited to be here. Thank you so much.
So I'm wondering, we're going to be talking about a very interesting topic. It's called embracing your dark side. But before we get to that, before we get into the meat of that, I'm wondering if you can share just a little bit about yourself and, how sort of what you've been doing connects with how we can build healthier workplace environments.
Absolutely. Thank you. So I have been an executive coach. I've been doing this, I realized, for over 20 years.
Wow.
And yeah, that's funny and exciting and wonderful. And the way we look at it is really connecting with people and helping them be their best selves, right? So that's my passion, my belief in my personal life, which I'll talk about as well, and my passion and belief in my professional life. And part of being your best self is showing up with your best self at work, right? So that helps contribute to making the environment happy and healthy. And then we also work a lot with clients about how they can be those change agents, even if the situation around them is, from all the way down to toxic or to just not so great, how they can help bring a new attitude, bring a new approach, bring new behaviors that can influence everyone around them. Because we need that, as you know, and everybody's watching this knows, we need that happy, healthy space to truly show up and be our most effective.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it makes such a difference when every individual sort of takes ownership of themselves and is able to, I'm amazed at how one person and how they are can change the space, can change the environment. So
absolutely. Even just the little changes, the little shifts in your mindset, the little things, and then sometimes the big things can make a huge difference all the way around you.
Yeah. Wow. Well, thanks again for sharing that. And I'm wondering, do you want to talk a little bit about kind of the work that you do? I know that you've got a couple of different, you've got a blog that you do, and you've got other things. Do you want to tell us just a little bit about that to give people a bit of context before we get into our topic?
Absolutely. Thank you. So I have kind of a couple of faces, if you will, and too many blogs. I'm only 2 blogs, but sometimes I stop and think about how much I blog every month with the 2 blogs, and it's a lot. Yeah. So on my professional side, I have a firm, Chatsworth Consulting Group, which I founded over 20 years ago. And we do all the leadership consulting work there, the executive coaching work there, truly everything, working with senior leaders, managers, or people throughout an organization, helping them be more effective, productive. We like to say loving what they do and doing a better job at it. We focus on what we call thoughtful leadership, which is defined as being present, being intentional, being authentic, right? So really being your best self and showing up and getting the results you need. So we work, and that's my work, and we do have a blog, the Thoughtful Leaders blog, where we really encourage people to be thoughtful, thinking about what they're doing, right, and how they're impacting others and how they're showing up. And then on my personal side, I have written a book. We will talk about embracing your dark side. I'll tell you about my dark side, but I have kind of one of those paths. And so I've written a memoir that's pending publication called Raising Myself, which is about all that happened and then how you still show up and find, in many ways, embrace your dark side and find the best way to show up and have a great, productive, happy life. And that's my personal side is LKohnedited.com, where I blog ongoing about life and how it affects us and how we can have a better time, for the best way to put it. So there's my chatswithconsulting.com and LKohnedited.com. Those are my 2 blogs that keep going.
And I really appreciate you sharing that you've got both of those things, and you've got them. They're both. It sounds like really key parts of who you are. One doesn't sort of supersede the other, which. And I remember you saying that to me when we were talking before, as we were preparing. That when you're at work, you love to be at work, and when you're not at work, you love to not be at work. And I really thought that was such an inspiring way of looking at the world.
Yeah, I am lucky that they do meld, and I either have found balance or I'm certifiably crazy is the way I describe it, because I do. I love what I do and I never want to stop. And then when I'm not working, I love my life and I never want to start. So it's they meld and they do support who I am and truly my passion about connecting with people and helping people be, happier, healthier, and truly showing up and enjoying each moment that they have.
Great. That's awesome. Well, thank you for that. And it gives us just some really great context as to sort of where you come from. So let's talk about the dark side.
Yes.
So maybe you could start by just telling us a little bit what you mean by what the dark side is and what that really means.
Okay, so I have described this many ways, and I hear people describe it in many ways. Some people call about your shadow self. I talk about the evil twin. It's that side of each one of us. I'll talk about myself. It's that side of me that I don't necessarily like, right? It could be that for me, I have had a very critical voice in my head. I used to call it my editor. And she would just catch me on every single thing I did, right? Criticizing was that, I like to describe myself as a recovering perfectionist, really pushing me, and then I also have sides where I show up based on who I am, on my personality and what I've learned, which can be powerful. Or I just took a 360 recently, an amazing 360, which kind of called out some critical parts of me and arrogant parts of me, parts I don't like at all. Yeah. That's my dark side, right? That is that shadow self, the part of me that I do that behavior and I wish I hadn't, or I think something and I wish I hadn't, or I hear that voice in my head. Those are all the parts, the part of me that I wish wasn't there. That's my dark side.
Well, I'm sure that all of us who are listening today can reflect and actually, we all have one of those, or we have one of those sides. So given that, and sometimes the fact that I want to just toss it out and never actually look at it, what is good about our dark side, if anything? Why wouldn't I just want to get rid of it?
Yeah, well, a bunch of thoughts come up on that, of course. So one, physics, right? That which we push against, we get more of, right? Resistance, pushing against something brings it back more. So I have learned over the years in my own work, my own personal professional growth, and all the work I've done with clients, that if I ignore my dark side, or even worse, push against it, like deny it's there or push it away or refuse to look at it, it only gets louder. I like I like visuals. That's the way my mind works. And I kind of think of it as this like creature in a corner. And if I back it in a corner, it fights harder to get out. Right. So that's, in my experience and what I've done myself and what I've seen with others, it doesn't work just to say it's not there or I deny it or to push against it. I'm not like that.
Yeah.
Go ahead. Yeah.
I was going to say, and that does totally make sense, that, and probably an experience that, I love that visual, because I can totally imagine this little creature that all of a sudden like has a huge mouth and attacks.
Yeah. I used to see it as the Tasmanian devil, like swirling dervish coming at me. Right. Yeah. So then I'm left with, here it is. And I don't like it. I maybe hate it. It bothers me. It hurts me, but I can't ignore it. What do I do? And what I've learned is a bunch of things. One, the comment of nothing is either good or bad. It's just our thinking that makes it so. So even in these darker sides of me, one, they're not bad. They just are, right? Yeah. And by my first step of saying this is not bad, it just is. It's just part of me. I'm not bad because I have it. Yeah. It lessens its energy and it lessens its effect on me, right? So that's the first step. Because if we're not aware of it, or if we push against it, it runs us, right? It's like gut inside that's running us. And if we kind of look at it and say it just is, we are starting to run it. We're starting to manage it. So it just is, right?
Yep.
How is it good? A couple things I've learned over the years, that even in all my worst attributes, there's positive to it, right? So I can be, driven and perfectionist. Well, it's gotten me a lot over the years, right? It's helped me achieve, right? It helps me push when I'm running out of energy, when I need that extra push, right? Or even the side that can be seen as controlling, perhaps, if I had some of that. Some people might say I do, right?
Yep.
Also, not to the extreme, but there's an essence of, taking care of what's going on and looking what's happening and fixing what's wrong. So there's really, to all these shadow selves, there is a positive that we can get out of it. It's just when we do it too much, that it becomes real negative.
Right.
And then the third thing I really realized, and then do you want to stop here? Should I go?
No, do please go with the third. I'm just processing.
Right. The third thing I've realized over a long time is those shadow selves, those voices, those behaviors, for many of us at least, they respond often when we're very young. And we either needed them to survive or we at least thought we needed them to survive. So they are truly, when my editor goes out, she thinks she's protecting me. She thinks the world is not safe and she's out there going to make sure nobody hurts me. Yeah. Right. So she's only coming, it's out of fear, but it's a sense of love for her love for me to protect me from from any danger that I might be under. So when I can look at it like that way, I can say, thank you. It's not dangerous. I'm not unsafe anymore. I may have been unsafe, or I may have felt unsafe at times in my childhood, or with that horrendous boss, or all those things, all those situations that happen. Yeah. I'm not anymore. So I can say, thank you for sharing, but I don't have to respond that way anymore. But she's not trying to hurt me. She's trying to help me. So that's how I can embrace it and love it, if that makes sense.
It does. It's interesting because it's such the opposite of what our natural response might be once we start to notice it.
Yeah. It's like, oh no, I don't have it. Oh, I hate it. Oh, I would never, oh, that's awful. And then we want to, hide from people when we're like that. Yeah. Yeah. To say, my slip is showing. Here you go. That's what I do. Let me fix it. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. And what it makes me think about is when you talk about it, by consciously acknowledging that it's there and not giving it a good or bad label, we actually are able to consciously decide how big it's going to be as well.
Yes. Yeah. How big is it going to be? Are we going to act on the impulse? Are we not going to act on the impulse? Are we we're being proactive and responding? Yeah. Again, it goes back to these all exist within us, and they're often based on false beliefs or assumptions or truth. I have to be perfect. I have to win. The world's not safe. Everybody's all these silly things we learn for whatever reason. Yeah. And they will drive us unless we get in the driver's seat and are aware of it. And by, just like you said, so by, looking at it, calling it out, embracing it, allowing it, we're taking the power back. Yeah. So we can be really in choice as to what we do. Or at least, oops, I did it.
Right.
We try again.
Yeah. So it's not about necessarily being critical then of ourselves for succumbing or for kind of falling prey to that part. It's about saying, okay, well, there we are. Let's start here again.
Yeah. Many years ago, and I sometimes I blush when I admit this, I had a real problem with being human. Huh. I just thought I should be not, susceptible to making mistakes. I should be, that kind of, right? I'm a human being and I make mistakes and, my dark side shows and I have issues and I should somehow be a better or above that. And that's silly, right? I am human. I come with great things. Hopefully I come with flaws, probably, right? And so just allowing that lessens the power it has, so that my best self can come out and I can be happy and I can be healthy. And then to go back to what you're talking about, I can influence that around me as well.
Yeah. Yeah. Amazing. So I think we've already talked about, we've talked about why we should maybe accept it, but what would be valuable about actually taking it to the next step of actually embracing it or loving it?
The concept of you get more bees with honey than you do with vinegar comes to mind.
Oh, yeah.
Right? So if you visit either of my websites, one more than the other because it's the personal one, you'll see that I've learned and I've tried to learn to come from love, right? The concept of love versus fear, right? And truly to come from that best place. Yeah. And that includes love for myself. Right? It actually, unfortunately or fortunately, starts with love for myself. Put your own oxygen mask on first, right? If I don't have enough sleep, enough food, enough exercise, enough well-being, if I'm beating myself up in my head, then I'm doing the same to the people around me, whether or not I know it. My family, my friends, my colleagues, my clients, everyone at work, everyone around me.
Yeah.
So when I can even love that part of me and say, it's okay that you're not perfect, that you have it, that you did it, when I can say, oops, when I can say, I'm sorry, when I can say, I'm trying, to myself and to the people I, smear with my bad stuff.
Yeah.
Which I do, right? Like, oops, I did it again.
Yeah.
It creates space for me to figure out how to get past it or through it. And then it creates space for other people. It allows other people to not be perfect as well, right?
Yeah.
But I don't hold them to that standard. It allows us all to just be, really okay, not perfect, but perfect as we are. And that just removes so much gunk that gets in the way of us showing up effectively and happily and, productively and all of that. We just get in our own way.
Yeah.
So loving that side of myself, as hard as that can be sometimes, as much as I want to throw it away and say, like I said, I just did this 360. I'm thinking it's still there, as much, but if I can love it and embrace it, it just puts me in position to engage with life as opposed to fight something and push down something that's there.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, it makes sense to me. And it makes sense when I think about the people that I work with, that when they are able to actually come from a place of love, there is so much more power than that place of fear. So I guess the next question is, how do you do that? Like, if you've not ever really, if you've always either pretended that part of you didn't exist, or maybe you've acknowledged it, but you've kind of decided to take the fear attitude or the get out of my life kind of way. How do you approach it from a place of embracing or a place of love?
So there's a lot of ways, and it's a journey, right? It's truly a journey, I find. That's why I have my work and my book, right? Because it's a journey. Yeah. So one, you probably don't want to do it alone.
Okay.
Right? So it's good to have, for some people, a therapist, for many people, a coach, a colleague, a friend, a family member who's close enough but not too close, like someone who can walk that journey with you, because it's a dark journey, right? It can be a dark journey to kind of look at. It requires some looking at this dark stuff and saying, ooh, ew, okay, right? It requires, or I found what works is, nothing that'll surprise you as a coach, but self-reflection, finding ways to reflect, getting information. So like I said, I just got certified in this 360 feedback called the Leadership Circle Profile. And it shows your positive side, your creative side, and your reactive dark side, right? So it helps you really see that information and look at it, just look at it, right? Yeah. It helps you do whatever self-care is for you. So meditation, mindfulness, stillness, sitting and allowing it, yoga, all those things that take care of your body, your physical self, so you can go through it, and then there's, the litany of self-help books out there, but there's a lot of positive psychology books. There's a great way to look, there's a lot of, intentional, living with intention, living within purpose. There's a lot of work now on brain science about really using our brains to help us. So I love that, because, I always grew up believing that we were controlled by our brains, but we actually have a lot of control over how we choose to think about what's going on. So it's a lot of internal, mental, emotional, spiritual, if you will, work that can help you kind of look at this and embrace it. And then there are just very practical things you can do. I believe in mantras. I believe in quotes. I believe in teaching myself new things. I believe in setting up habits that are positive. So all those sorts of things, which I talk about on both websites, right? And I'm sure you share with your clients as well. Yeah. All those sorts of things are ways to big picture look at it, and little bit day by day. How am I going to look at it today? How am I going to be gentler with myself today? Even just being gentler with yourself every day is the first great step.
Yeah. And when you talk about, so I'm thinking about, for people who maybe are just sort of starting to think of that idea of being more gentle, what are some sort of tangible things that you would suggest to someone who has started to notice they're not being very gentle?
With themselves?
With themselves. They might be very gentle with other people, but they have trouble being gentle with themselves.
Yeah. And that's true for a lot of us, right? Well, the first thing I often say to people is, how would you treat your best friend? Mm-hmm. Would you do that to your best friend?
Yeah.
Or your child, or your loved one, or someone who really mattered to you?
Yeah.
I remind people my favorite word is oops. Oops. Oops again, right? Oops, oops, oops. I'm trying, right? Yeah. I also share a lot of slogans or sayings with clients. One client recently said, I keep hearing you say, what other people think of me is none of my business. It's saving my life, right? So there's things, it's great to hear what that voice is saying to you.
Yes.
And then turn it around 180 degrees. If that voice is saying, you're an idiot, then you get to say, wow, I'm pretty smart over here. I really did this, right?
Yeah.
Tangible thing is to look for the things that bring you ease and joy in your life, right? Really simple things. So, brain science, again, if I smile, my brain thinks I'm happy. So if I'm really feeling down on myself, one of the best things I can do is simply smile. Or for me, I look at the trees against the sky, or, something in nature, something that makes me go, it's okay, right? Take a breath.
Yeah.
And the last question, and I can do more, right? I do these all the time, right? But the last one I often offer and use is, what do I need right now? What would make me feel good right now? Is it a cup of tea? Is it a walk around the block? Is it to dig in and finish this? Is it a hug that I can find someone, or with myself, it's not as good? What would soothe me right now? And just soothe and enjoy that.
Yeah.
Try again.
And that's a really cool, it's a really easy question to ask yourself. What do I need right now? The answer is probably, for most people at most times, not something they couldn't actually access.
Yeah, exactly. It can be something really simple and small, and and I was just thinking as we were talking, because a lot of this may sound like it's not applicable to when I'm in my office, right, in my cube, in my office, but it absolutely all is. This is the stuff I coach senior leaders on all the time. Yeah. You're about to explode, or you just exploded, or you hear that voice in your head, or you feel awful. Close your door and take a breath. 30-second breath, right? Walk around the block, find something else, find a colleague you love to talk to, find something that fuels your energy. Yeah. It sounds ooey sometimes, and like metaphysical, but it really is practical ways to just show up happier, show up healthier, show up your best self, and be more effective at work and in life.
Yeah. Yeah. And also, it doesn't cost anything to close the door and take 30 seconds of breathing, or take 15 minutes and go for a walk around the block. That's it's free.
It's free, right? I always say to clients, you're in the midst of something at work and it's getting you, you're about to fight with someone, say, oh my gosh, bio break, I'll be right back.
Yeah.
Who can say no, right? No, you can't go now, right? We're not anymore. You don't have to wait, right? So but really, and it's free. It's free to get out of the situation and intentionally calm yourself down. And when I found that when you take care of yourself that way, your whole being starts to go, oh, like you're taking care of me, and you start to think you matter, and you start to feel better, and you start to have tools, and you start to know simple things you can do, and it shifts bit by bit by bit.
Yeah. Well, it gives me, even just hearing you say that, it's just sort of almost is calming. Just it's small steps, but huge, huge improvements, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
So, I know that you've talked about this a little bit already, but I'd like to just maybe delve into it a bit more deeply. Why is this so important in organizations? Like, why is it important to embrace your dark side for organizations?
Because we all have them, right? We all have them, and they affect us, and they affect the organization, and they affect the culture, and they affect the results. Yeah. And so even the ability, I talk to clients a lot about, you have this, I used to call it the evil twin, right? You have this side of you that shows up. If you can make it safe to talk about that, like if I do this thing, if I interrupt all the time, or sometimes my anger blows up, right? If people can say, hey, you're doing that, you're being mean, and feel safe saying that to me, then I can be like, oh my gosh, I'm sorry, you're right. And we can get through it.
Yeah.
What I've learned over the years is that we're human beings and we all make up stories all day long about what other people think, what other people mean, what they're doing, why, what I'm thinking, how they see me.
Yeah.
And by acknowledging our dark sides, talking about our dark sides, calling each other out on it, making it safe to have those real conversations, we lessen the stories. And when you lessen the stories, communication's clearer and things move forward, right? Things actually work. But when we don't talk about it or don't admit it, they just get in the way. And they create toxic workplaces, or they can create toxic workplaces.
Yeah. So if you were talking to a leader who had just sort of came to this realization that, or maybe they knew it before but didn't quite know how to either embrace their dark side, or didn't know how to had never really done anything with it, and they wanted to sort of introduce the topic to their team, how would you suggest that they actually go about introducing that so that people actually begin to, it's not just one person learning, but it's actually that person being able to share with a bigger group?
Yeah, and so it's tough, right? Because it requires really being vulnerable, right? Which is hard, and especially leaders somehow think that they're supposed to have all the answers and not have any problems. And research has shown that effective leaders actually admit some of their flaws or some of their shortcomings, right? Not the ones that actually would devastate the organization. If you're like, I'm leading sales, but I don't know how to sell anything. You don't want to admit that one, right? But being able to acknowledge that we're human, allow other people to be human.
Yeah.
How do you do it? You just start to talk about it and kind of test the waters, right? And start to go there. So I tell years ago, I had a client, I tell the story, and the first time I met her, she's an amazing leader, and people would follow her anywhere. People would do anything for her. And she had a dark side. She had a temper, right? She had when things got tight, she could be very direct. And the first time I met her, I look in her office and there's these two Barbie dolls on a shelf. One that looks just like her, one that looks like her, but the hair is messed up and there's marker all over and the clothes are ripped. And I say, exactly, what's that?
Yes.
My team gave that to me. That's me, and that's my evil twin. So when they come in here, if they get to say, she's here right now, we'll come back later. Or if they come in here, I get to say, unless things are really going to crash, she's here right now, come back later. Now, would it be great if she didn't have that evil twin? Yes.
Of course.
But the fact that she made it safe enough for her team to say, you're not good to talk to right now, because we all have those moments. They may not be that evil twin, but we all have one, and they all come out, right?
Yeah.
So the way to do it is begin to say to your team, I'm learning that I have this, that I do this. You probably know that I do this. I want to stop doing this. I don't want this to hurt the team. Yeah. Can you let me know when I'm doing it? When I'm making you feel uncomfortable? When I'm getting wishy-washy? When I'm being too nice? When I'm being too mean? When I'm talking too much and not letting, whatever it is, can you let me know? Call me out on it. I want you to tell me, I want your support in this. Let's talk about these things we do that get in the way. Yeah. And you, especially as a leader, if you can start having those conversations and taking those steps and being vulnerable, then your team can start to feel like they can be vulnerable too.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then when they tell you, don't ever yell at them. Right? You can't say, please tell me. No, not now. Right? That's not going to work. Right? No,
you have to be fully prepared for the fact that they actually will, if they trust you enough, they actually will tell you.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, that's good. I think that, leaders have such an opportunity to model behaviors that are productive.
Yeah.
And this is one of those ones where, on a team, you might have the evil twins might all look completely different, but it kind of gives people a language, or, using the term, the dark side, to be able to say, you know what, I've just recognized that I have this, as you said already. You all probably know it. And I think that's the thing, acknowledging that it's not likely to be a surprise for other people because they're likely to have seen it. a lot more quickly than you even see it yourself.
You think you're hiding it, but your slip is showing.
Yeah.
You know, we remember what slips were from way back, right? It is showing. You haven't, like, everybody knows it but you. So yeah, being able to just make it safe to talk about, as scary as that is, again, lessens the impact, because then you don't have to never do it. Then you can do it and be like, okay, sorry, yep, did it, yep, okay. You know, it doesn't give you permission to keep doing it and go, that's just the way I am. But it gives you permission to be human, because we all have those sides.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Wow. Well, this has been great. I really appreciate the delving into this topic and naming something that, as we already said, everyone has it, but actually being able to put a name on it, or give it a title, I guess, so that we can actually start to do something with it, because there's something tangible there.
Yeah.
So I'm wondering, I understand that you have a free gift to share with with some of the people who are listening today, and I'm wondering if you can tell us just a little bit about that.
Absolutely. Well, as you can tell, I am passionate about this and I love it. So I'd love to help other people get there as well. And so for the first 5 people who come onto, I'll actually say either website, if that's okay. So so the 3 places to visit are chatsworthconsulting.com, right? Or it's easier to find thoughtfulleaders.com, or my personal website, lisakohnwrites.com, and the Kohn is Kohn, so it's lisakohnwrites.com.
Yep.
And say, I saw you on the Happy Healthy Summit, or something around that, just Happy Healthy.
Yeah.
I would like to offer a free 30-minute coaching session. So first 5 people, free 30 minutes. We can talk about your dark side or anything you want that's going to help you be happier and healthier at work and in life.
Fantastic. And all of those 3 websites, those links are in the email, so people can just easily click on that. And first 5 people, what an amazing gift. So thank you for that.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
So before we wrap up, is there any last things you want to share, share with the people watching?
Yeah, so as I think about this, right, and it's everything we've been saying all the way along, but what I want people to know, that it's really, really possible, right? It's really possible to be happier. It's really possible to be healthier, no matter what's going on or no matter where you are. And I don't want to, disregard how tough situations people may have or what tough lives they may have. The reason I wrote my book, right, is because I had one of those, right? I had one of those childhoods. You know, many of us do. Mine is funny enough that it makes a lot of good stories, but many of us do. But you don't have to walk around with that dark side running you and that dark side ruling you and not feeling happy and not feeling engaged. There are ways to truly, like you said, little free things you can do, things you can think, people you can talk to, things you can look at that can really shift it. Yeah. And that will make, I firmly believe, the world a better place. And so there's my, vote for hope for everyone there.
Yeah, no, I appreciate that. I think that, and I really love those last thoughts, because I think that it gives everybody, it opens up the space of opportunity and possibility for everybody, because just because you started in one place, just because of where you are right now, doesn't mean that you have to stay here. There's opportunity and possibility there. So that's fantastic. Thank you so much for today. I really appreciate having you here today. And I just feel like you've added such value to this summit. So thank you again.
Thank you. It's been my absolute pleasure. Absolutely.
So for everyone, again, I'm Maya Carlson. You've seen me every day for the last few, and you'll see me for a few more. And this is the Happy Healthy Workplace Summit. And watch your email inbox tomorrow for one more great interview. Thank you. Bye.